If you or your clients have lower back pain, I guarantee you've heard it all. You've heard that you should never flex your lower back, that you have to brace at all times. Keep the back stiff every time you move, even if you're lifting something really small off the ground. But what if I told you that the research shows that at lower loads, lifting with some spinal flexion is safe? Or if you're performing something like a back squat, as soon as the barbell goes on your back, your lumbar spine rounds or becomes kyphotic. Or if you look at this study right here, it actually shows that people with low back pain intentionally lift with less flexion compared to those who do not. And should I just keep my back stiff when I move? Well, if you look at these two studies right here, both of them show that people with lower back pain have reduced movement throughout their back and intentionally limit range of motion. So, do I want to use the strategy that my body's going to subconsciously use already? No. And that's because when there's less movement available, the workload is increased on areas more focally. And it could be that these things actually contribute to back pain persisting. We need a strategy that encourages and increases the amount of motion that's available in the back. Do you just walk more or just move more, as some physical therapists suggest? What if a lot of movements already hurt? Moving more is probably the worst and most useless advice that you can get. If you're moving and it hurts, you probably don't want to do more of that. What you have to do is you have to increase the amount of movement that's available pain-free. And there's only one way to do that. I'm going to show you what that way is depending on which direction it hurts when you move. But before I show you what to do, we have to learn how movement becomes limited in the first place and how this might contribute to pain. You see, our bodies are made up of fluids. We have synovial fluid within the joints. Our abdominal contents are composed quite a bit of water, and air has properties of fluid as well within the lungs. And so when we move, our movement occurs similarly to the way fluids move within the body. When I flex my bicep, I'm squeezing fluid out of the front component and pushing it to the back component of the joint. And ideally, when I straighten my elbow, I should be able to move fluid in the opposing direction. When you are experiencing an inability to do that, now I might be increasing load into a specific area because I can't shift those fluids effectively. And if you have a movement that hurts, say it hurts to bend forward, flexion intolerance, it hurts to bend backwards, extension intolerance, or it hurts to rotate, all of that may be impacted by an ability to create those fluid shifts. Depending on which movement or movements hurt, you may have to teach your body to shift those internal fluids differently. Doing so will increase the amount of motion that's available and reduce the pressure distribution into areas such as your back. Let's first take a look at flexion intolerance, or pain when it hurts to bend forward. In order to bend forward, you have to have the spine be able to round, but also too, the pelvis has to be able to shift backwards. Oftentimes, people who can't bend forward pain-free lack the ability to shift the pelvis backwards, and so that increases the load through the lower back. To redistribute the workload, we have to teach these individuals to shift their hips backwards, so that way the workload is distributed not just to the back, but the hips as well. Any movement that gets the lower portion of the glute max to become more eccentric or relaxed will facilitate this action. To get the hips to loosen up, I like this backwards crawl on elbows. Here's how to do it. You're gonna get on your forearms with your knees right underneath your hips. Elbows are right underneath your shoulders. You wanna gently glance up at the fingertips. You're gonna silently breathe in through the nose. On the exhale, you wanna push your torso away, chest and abs, nice and slow. Make sure that it's not a crunch or that you're lifting up like that. Keeping that ground pressure, you're gonna inhale, lift your elbow and your knee up, opposite sides, slide it back about an inch, exhale down, same thing on the other side. You wanna make sure that your hand and your foot drag down the surface and the steps are really slow. If you're doing it right, you're gonna feel the abs getting crushed. I would do 3 to 4 rounds of 5 steps per side. If it's too difficult, you can make it easier by elevating the arms and just doing single steps backwards. Pain with backwards bending is a bit of a different issue. In order to bend backwards, I have to not be able to just close or extend the lower back, but the pelvis also has to be able to shift more forward. Pain with backwards bending often occurs because there is increased compressive forces on the backside of the spine, so it puts too much load into the back. It's a bit of a different stress though compared to the forward bend, which is more of like a stretch load. This is more of a shortening load. And when that shortening load occurs, there's reduced space here, and that can be uncomfortable. So the solution in this case is actually to choose activities where space is being increased on the backside of the body. In order for it to be segmental, I actually have to teach myself to be able to push my abdominal contents, if this were the abdominal contents or the guts, backwards. That's going to create a more segmental expansion or stretch throughout the spine, which can improve load tolerance. We can use this wall same connect move to achieve that. You're going to lie on your back with both of your feet on the wall, 90-degree angle at the hips and knees. Take a yoga block. You're going to put that between the same side elbow and knee. You want your elbow and your knee bent. And you're going to take a silent in through the nose. Exhale, lower both of them down. Get a little bit of pressure into the block. You'll feel your abs work. The foot that's on the wall is going to be pushing through the inside heel and the base of the big toe, so you feel the back of the legs work. You're going to hold this position, silently breathe in through the nose, soft exhale through the mouth, making sure the lower abs get smaller during the exhale. Rotation involves a combination of what we had seen in the prior 2 strategies. If we look at this rib cage here, which contains the spine, let's suppose I want to rotate to the left. If I rotate to the left, I have to increase space or get things to relax on the left back side of the body and the right front side. That space is increased by moving the guts back and left, and then front and right. And then in the upper thorax, I have to be able to move air into the left upper back region and the right part of the chest wall. Now it might sound like, whoa, that's really complicated. So I gotta like breathe into a certain area and then I gotta be able to like slosh my guts in the other. It's way easier than you think. You can perform this quite reflexively by teaching the spine to be able to rotate as one unit, which is actually pretty common. A lot of times when people have pain upon rotation, you'll often see them rotating only at a few segments. To improve total rotation, I like this side-lying same connect roll. What you're gonna do is you're gonna line your side, head resting on a pillow or a pad. You're gonna put a yoga block between your elbow and the top of your knee, not low, right here. Free arm grips the rib cage, start on your side. You wanna get a little bit of pressure into the block. Make sure nose, chest, and zipper all roll together. You're gonna inhale, roll onto your back, flop without letting the arm move. Exhale back to the start. Perform 3 rounds, 10 rolls. Now, you might have tried this stuff, but maybe you notice that your lower back only bugs you when you're lifting some heavier weights. For example, if you look like this person right here in this thumbnail when you're squatting, you might have to address some technical and mobility issues that you're having. I'd check out this video right here, and that will give you everything you need to take care of that and make your back feel better.